Okay, I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. This is a very different kind of video to my usual videos. And even though I didn't plan on making a video for this month, I'm compelled to make this one because something unprecedented has happened. Something that I did not expect, at least for a few more years to come. It has happened sooner than we expected. Um, Sooner than we've expected, and it genuinely seems like we're ahead of the schedule from whatever AI Duma videos that we have been seeing. So basically, U.S. government has put a stop or restriction on the use of Claude, Fable, the Mythos class models, and also more recently, as you might have known, a day and a half ago for the ChatGPT 5.6, all three variants. Basically, it's only rolling out in limited use. So this puts us as Indians and generally like other parts of the world as well, like non-US part of the world, it puts us in a very massive disadvantage. And my one of the theme that I've been speaking about, even in across all the places where I post, even on LinkedIn and more here on YouTube as well, is about AI democratization, like AI for everybody, AI that serves everybody, AI that helps everybody, and not just being confined to one single power or one single state or one single region. So this, since we find ourselves in this critical juncture, I cannot believe like we have already reached this point so soon, and I do not think. I mean, I may be underestimating, but I genuinely do not think that unless it is in the hands of more talented hackers or in more talented like cyber security experts, I think it's pretty harmless. I don't think it is really that dangerous. And I think it's part of a marketing stunt to show that how Claw, Anthropic, or whichever the US models are, they are much better than or the other models available in the world. I don't believe the fact that it can I don't believe the fact that it is entirely critical or entirely in a place where it's gonna go Terminator mode on us. But I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. But that being said, basically taking all this effort and energy and not serving it to the public so openly, I feel is like a huge disservice that all these AI companies are doing to us. And the fact that it was supposed to revolutionize the world, and the only thing it has been doing is only helping with coding or like coders get better and build pointless apps which don't really even sell well. I do not think that all these AI labs are going in the right direction, with the exception of Google DeepMind, of course. They're the only ones who are actually doing prudent and productive deployments. But other than them, I don't think really anybody is like focused on that. That is really heartbreaking, and it really pains me. And the fact that Dario Amade of all people who've been telling that AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that, and they are basically, you know, like part of the problem that I feel is that they are being they're lying to us. They're not being genuine to us, and it is really disheartening that even though there's like an unwritten rule that you won't allow the and like any RL, any reinforcement learning has to be human guided, and these people they've just let it loose and basically built a super model as they claim, of course. I feel it's super disingenuous that you try to insinuate that you're better than others and use all these techniques and then claim yourself that AI is somehow dangerous. I mean, where's the logic in that? I mean, if you're trying to make dynamite, how do you expect it to become medicine? Okay, so since this is the issue that we are facing, and I as an Indian, I'm going to focus mostly on India, and if you're in like another country that's more closely related, like let it be in Asia, Africa, or let it be in Europe as well. Here's something that I feel like we should think about. I feel we can do in such a situation. So one thing that I'm gonna praise the Chinese AI labs for doing is that what basically they're doing is them pushing out so many open source models. Like I guess like 90% of the Chinese market is open source models, and the amazing fact is that most of them are distilled from Claude. See, I don't mind distilling because you're basically AI models are built on open knowledge, and if the outputs are being used to train another AI model, I think that's fair play. But that's me. That's something that's a personal opinion of mine, and that has no bearing on whatever how legal or not it is. But yeah, so basically, what these AI labs have done is basically condense all the knowledge that all these bigger models have, and they put it into their own model, and we can basically expect a high level model performance from a small model, and which we can run locally as well on your computer or on your phone. And however, you can check out my video. I made a short on how you can install local models that can run without any internet. So this is fantastic news that AI, finally, that AI democratization, that open source models are getting the recognition they deserve. Because AI, these major, we need this freedom because these people are taking our data, they're taking all our ideas, and they're improving their models, but we get none of the benefits. Like all of the users are contributing to improving their models, but we are not getting any sort of this benefit, and instead we're getting these restrictions that are in place to hinder us. So few things we can do is that first I'm going to tell you the problems that are there with the conventional LLM scaling, or like conventional LLM deployment. So the first thing is, of course, energy and infrastructure. The cost is really high. Like trying to secure a GPU now is like next to impossible, and you only have to resort to like these online providers. Like here are some, and one thing, and the other thing is energy. I feel like energy is major issue for most of the countries outside of the developed nations. Like by developed nations, I mean the Western nations. Outside of them, most of the other countries, we do have issues with energy. That the energy is like sufficient for day to day, but it's not sufficient to sustain a whole AI ecosystem. And then certainly the other thing that is we do not have our own models, and so we have to rely on Chinese open source models, which is not a bad thing for now. We can genuinely like fine tune them and you put it to our use, or we can build our own BERTs or small language models, which are like 100 to 500 million parameters big. That's totally reasonable with the local systems that we have, and even though training might take some time, that is totally feasible. So, looking at all these constraints, one thing that I feel that India should genuinely consider doing is, first of all, stop the brain drain that is happening. Like many of the AI researchers are fleeing to San Francisco because that's the center of the world right now for AI development. And if somehow we succeed in doing that by bringing the VC ecosystem, by promoting better ideas, not just check the short-term financial not just check for the financial gain for the short term, but thinking more of like a long term. And another thing is the scarce local data. Like India is a massive country, and we have lots of people generating lots of data every day. And if there was a way in which we could somehow tap into that data, we could have like a wonderful model of our own. And yes, coming to high infrastructure, like one really great thing is that even though we can't access those high-end GPUs from Nvidia or the other companies, one thing that we have is the Apple. Yes, um, you didn't expect me to say Apple of all the companies, but yes, Apple makes wonderful products, especially the Mac Mini. It is amazing, and I've been considering for a long time to get one of my own. You can connect a few Mac Minis, and basically you have your own local AI data system that you can basically use from anywhere in the world, and nobody's going to steal your data, of course. And you can have that, or if you don't want to get into the Apple trouble, of course you can look into like some of the older GTX graphic cards that are pretty much abundant. And if possible, if you don't mind the worn out GPUs, you can go for the Bitcoin mining ones. And I was surprised to know like India has quite a bit of Bitcoin mining, and many of those GPUs are being sold at a much lower price now. So that is definitely one thing that you can consider. But I would say like for most people, Apple should do it. So the another factor that I think will help the Indian AI ecosystem is the fact that we should, we have so many amazing unicorn startups and startups that are doing great in our country. So one thing that I expect is rather than having just plug and play API wrapper, we should have um, a totally new kind of AI based apps, which will genuinely, promote users to, change their whole app experience. That is something that new developers should genuinely consider. And when it comes to coding models, of course, there are Cursor and all these other AI products. But other than autonomous loops and independent agents, I generally feel that there's lot of work that could be done for AI harnesses. So if you're looking to build a coding model, do consider the existing harness and how you can improve it. And improving uh, should be something in the lines of how basically, a lot of AI coders today, they don't really offer copy and paste. So you could build like a tool that helps the AI to copy and paste the code rather than basically regurgitating the whole code at once. You could save tokens there. So these are some examples that I think I could give for the people building with AI. So yeah, coming back to the critical point that I mentioned earlier, that's energy limited. So if you're using the Apple ecosystem, yes, that won't be much of a concern. Basically, you could run like four or five Mac Minis together, and still the power draw will be less than 100 watts. That you're not gonna have an issue. But if you want energy independence and if you want much more energy input, you can genuinely consider solar. Or I feel if you have more money, you can go for a windmill installation. That's totally feasible in this day and age. So with all these done, one final thing, one final point that I genuinely think needs addressing is that we need to move away from large language models. It is not the future. It should not be the future. Like tokens in, tokens out. I don't believe that should be the future. We need a better architecture which should be flexible. It should be able to run on large data centers or even run on your local device with similar performance. And this is only possible if we can somehow, like negate the brain drain and mitigate the brain drain. And if we can have these people like intelligent minds across the India, like we have thousands of engineering colleges and we have some premier ones as well, like NITs or IITs. We can have many of them come together and try to work on a better architecture. That I feel is like an ultimate solution for a country like India, where our main export is not physical products. Our main export is talent. And if we somehow can make use of those talent, if we can make use of these human resources, I believe that this issue of this AI monopoly won't affect us in the long run. But yeah, for now, it's something to be dealt with, and it's something that we are heavily compromised on. So yeah, I'm expecting all these models to be available to general public soon, but the fact still remains that they are still a monopoly, and we have not much of good other choices. And yeah, it remains to be seen how this situation develops. I'm expecting to hear from the Chinese government as well about the accusations that all these companies have been allaying on their Chinese labs. And yeah, let's see how it goes. If you've enjoyed this video and if you learned something new, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know what I could improve in the comments, or if you enjoy the video as well. Subscribe if you think this type of content brings value to you, and do let me know. I'll be sharing more videos soon. And thank you for watching. I'll see you again. Bye bye.